All right, hello everybody. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present at Psych Cafe. Glad it's back. I'm gonna present a poster presentation that I delivered at Society for Affective Science in 2024 in New Orleans, and the poster presentation is titled "Acceptance Beliefs About Negative Emotions and Psychological Well-Being: Mediating Role of Emotion Regulation." So. Um, so people hold different beliefs about emotions, and some people might believe negative emotions are good because they might help them find room for improvement. And some people might believe negative emotions are bad and needs to be eradicated and cannot. It's the opposite of happiness. And the research has shown that holding different emotion beliefs can influence psychological well-being. And study has found that for some people, believing negative emotions are bad is found to be associated with greater depressive and anxiety symptoms, as well as higher risk of mood disorders. And for people who believe negative emotions are good, they may view them as a source of insight for self-improvement. And research did not find holding positive attitude toward negative emotions was associated with any psychological well-being over time. Now, some research has shown believing positive emotions are good is associated with greater life satisfaction and lower levels of negative affect. Now, in addition to beliefs about negative emotions in a binary format, of as illustrated, believing negative emotions are good versus bad. People also hold beliefs about whether they should accept negative emotions. So from now, I refer to these beliefs as acceptance beliefs about negative emotions. Now, acceptance of emotions and particularly negative emotions are acknowledgement and tolerance of mental experiences without judgment. And so holding acceptance belief of negative emotions means individuals will view negative emotions without judgment, and they might find greater meaning and utility in negative emotions. And acceptance overall, there's an extensive body of literature demonstrated the psychological benefits of acceptance across research settings, and the literature has shown that greater acceptance is associated with less depressive symptoms, less anxiety symptoms, and greater life satisfaction. Um, However, no study has yet to examine the effects of acceptance beliefs about negative emotions on psychological well-being. Um, and further, um, research has discussed emotion beliefs can influence emotion regulation processes. For example, believing negative emotions are bad may encourage people to use emotion regulation strategies that are more likely to diminish the intensity and or frequency of negative emotions. And cognitive appraisal is one type of emotion regulation strategy. So it is a type of emotion regulation strategy that focuses on changing how individual thinks about the experience that solicits that emotions. And we often refer to cognitive appraisal as an antecedent-focused emotion regulation strategy, a strategy that focuses on the 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 precursor that solicits that emotion. Now, holding acceptance beliefs may encourage individuals to cognitively replace the initial experience in order to cultivate acceptance, and thus to kind of promote psychological well-being. On the other hand, emotion suppression may also be a mediator of the relationship between acceptance beliefs of negative emotions and psychological well-being outcomes. Emotion suppression is a type of emotion regulation strategy. It's categorized as the strategy that inhibits emotional display related to the initial emotion experience. It's often conceptualized as a response-focused emotion regulation strategy. Um, and now, individuals who hold acceptance beliefs about negative emotions may engage less emotion suppression because already they view negative emotions ought to be accepted. No need to uh, inhibit the display of them, and thus in turn experience greater psychological well-being. And now the current study kind of examines the effects of acceptance beliefs about negative emotions on psychological well-being over time using a longitudinal design. And further, the study examines whether cognitive reappraisal and emotion suppression act as a mediator for a relationship between acceptance belief about negative emotions and psychological well-being. So, as mentioned before, the study is a two-wave longitudinal study. T1, the data T1 is collected at the first week of the fall 2020 semester, and T2 is collected at the 14th week of fall 2020 semester. And the participants in the studies are 283 first-year college students. The mean age is 17.9. 72% of the sample is female students. And you can see demographic breakdown here as well. And here are the results that we found. So the first model you're seeing here illustrates cognitive reappraisal turns out to be a mediator for the relationship of between acceptance beliefs about negative emotions and T2 depressive symptoms. And as you can see, T1 acceptance belief about negative emotions is predicted rather, greater use of cognitive reappraisal at T2, and in turn is associated with lower levels of depressive symptoms at T2. And in the same model, you can see a T1 acceptance belief of negative emotions. A T1 did not predict the use of emotion suppression at T2, even though the emotion suppression T2 was associated with greater depressive symptoms at T2. So this kind of reveals that cognitive reappraisal was indeed a mediator for the relationship as hypothesized. Now, similar pattern holds for anxiety symptoms. So similarly, acceptance belief, individuals who have greater acceptance beliefs of negative emotion at T1 tend to have greater use of cognitive reappraisal at T2, and in turn tend to experience a lower level of anxiety symptoms at T2. And then similarly to the previous model, cognitive reappraisal will act as a mediator of the relationship. And similarly, emotion suppression was not a significant, the emotion suppression did not function as a mediator, given a non-significant association. Um, and then the last model we ran was life satisfaction. Even though the direction of the relationship was significant, however, when we use Monte Carlo simulation to test the significance of indirect effects of cognitive reappraisal, it was not significant. So confidently we cannot confidently position cognitive reappraisal as a significant mediator here in this model, even though the pattern is similar to what we would hypothesize. So, consistent with our hypothesis, individuals with greater acceptance beliefs about negative emotions reported increased use of cognitive reappraisal over time, which in turn was associated with lower depressive symptoms and anxiety symptoms. And this pattern results is compatible with cognitive behavioral therapy CBT model of the changeability of emotions through cognitive appraisal. Essentially is the CBT model views emotions can be changed via ways of reappraising the initial experience that solicits the emotions. And this is also consistent with previous research that showed acceptance and cognitive appraisal may share similar regulatory processes, in a sense, changing how one think about the initial experience that solicits the emotion. And contrary to our hypothesis, individuals with greater acceptance beliefs about negative emotion did not report decreased use of emotion suppression over time. This results may suggest that acceptance belief and negative emotions may have a weaker influence on emotion regulation strategies that focus on changing individual responses to emotional experiences. Also, I suggest that other emotion beliefs might have a greater influence on response focus emotion strategies, such as emotion control beliefs, the set of beliefs that believes the value in controlling one's emotional expression. Our study have several implications and for future directions. So clinically, our study results demonstrated potential psychological benefits of holding acceptance beliefs about negative emotions. So for clinical interventions, acceptance beliefs might be an important intervention target. There'll be future questions for researchers and clinicians to think about what interventions may effectively promote acceptance beliefs. Future studies could also consider examining similar models with other emotion beliefs. As mentioned before, emotion control beliefs could be a candidate. Future studies will also benefit from examining whether the effects of acceptance beliefs about negative emotions vary by domain and or context. Now, our current study broadly examined the effects of acceptance beliefs about negative emotions. We did not specify or control for in what domain, for example, kind of academic or relationship and so on and so forth. We didn't also specify what context, which may also play a role in influencing the effects of holding acceptance beliefs. The future study will benefit from examining acceptance beliefs in specifically defined domain or context. That's it. Thank you so much.